Hello and good morning. My name is Steve Pugh. It's Friday, the 25th of August 2023. I run a startup called Roadmap MBA, and our mission is to make business education accessible to 5 billion people worldwide. We believe that education, but in particular business education, has the ability to really kind of transform careers, help businesses make more money, and actually give that generational wealth and almost the ability for social mobility that almost no other form of education kind of can. One of the things which has always kind of held a lot of people back is that business education is historically really expensive, but also the time required is massive. That if you have kids or multiple jobs or whichever, it's really difficult to kind of schedule in. But also the whole approach, in my opinion, of business education was always quite academic. It was almost, there's a lot of textbooks. If you do a proper MBA, the theories and the textbooks are 800 pages each. And the truth is most people in the real world kind of just want to know, what do I do? How can I do it better? And how can I make more money? And how can I do that quickly? So one of the things that we do on the Roadmap Alternative MBA is basically give you the complete roadmap to grow your business or career. And one of the ways that we teach on that is that we have the book, we have the app, we have all of the live streamy kind of stuff we do. We do live classroom sessions which look like this. We do those 4 times a week. And the whole point is, as long as you have a smartphone, you can actually dial in from anywhere in the world. And a really big important part of our social mission is actually to make sure that anyone, anywhere in the world, should they want to learn, grow and develop, can actually access high quality business education completely for free. We wanted to do that. Basically, it's for philanthropy in some ways, but actually it's just a way to empower communities and actually help provide social mobility, and that's something that we're kind of really passionate about. So when I do these live streams, basically what it does, it gives us a chance, or gives me a chance, to talk about stuff that's happened this week. I also try and talk about stuff that we've done on our own journey, stuff that's happening to us, because one of my pet peeves, especially on LinkedIn and other kind of social platforms, is that people always give you the polished truth and everyone pretends that things are going incredible and all of that kind of stuff. And the truth is, at least for me, it's not always the kind of case. So I always love to kind of just share our honest story, talk about some interesting stuff as well. And this also gets clipped up and goes on to YouTube as well. So if you kind of catch a few seconds of this, you think it might look interesting, check out roadmapmba.com. And actually, if you reach out to me or you reach out to guest list at roadmapmba.com, I'll send you a free copy of the course as well. And basically, yes, this all gets clipped up onto YouTube, so you can kind of go and find us on social at Roadmap MBA as well. Before I forget, one of the things that's really important to us is that we work a lot with charities and we want to develop partnerships. So we have a partnership with guys at a place called Parallel Lifestyles that do Purple Sock Day. And on the 3rd of December every year, basically it's Purple Sock Day, where the guys raise money through selling purple socks, which I own 26 pairs of, to really kind of help empower disabled entrepreneurs in their communities, to give them access to support which will help them grow, learn, develop. And I think there's an obvious fit there with what we're doing at the Roadmap. So we have a partnership with the guys. So you'll see some interviews and stuff coming up with them as well. You'll also see on the ticker a little reminder will come up about Purple Sock Day on the 3rd of September. They're only £6. So actually for a really well made bamboo pair of socks, that's a bargain. But actually what it does, half the profits go back to social good causes, and then we donate stuff completely for free as well. And it's just something that I wanted to mention, and you'll see me kind of touch on as well. And then likewise, if you do tune in on any of the channels, if you drop a comment, it should pop up on the screen. So it should pop up here, and I'd love to kind of say hello and stuff as well. So I must admit, I haven't actually done one of these for about a month. The truth is, I was selling one of my clients' companies, so I've been really busy. And whilst, you know, it's that kind of thing of where I love doing the startup stuff, I love doing the broadcasts, I love kind of just practicing, which is almost what I see this as. But my day job is still as a management consultant, when people hire me to actually do things for them, to run their companies, to do mergers and acquisitions, and or help with their marketing or their strategy or whichever they kind of need. And the truth is that can take up a huge amount of time that, you know, I was too busy. I was a little bit burnt out. So I took a little bit of time off to do the live stream, almost kind of get my motivation back, which is a topic I'm going to talk about today. And then what I'm hoping to do is that it's starting to ramp up again with some of the new initiatives and stuff that we've got coming up, which hopefully, I wanted to kind of talk about today as well. But it was just one of those things that hopefully for me, if you wanted to learn a business education to give you that solid grounding across a range of areas, for me personally, I would prefer to learn from someone that lives and breathes it every day, that gets paid to actually do this stuff and actually does it for real, rather than just a teacher or a tutor that gets paid to teach. It's a personal opinion. It's one of the kind of USPs of our kind of course. But it was just something that actually, the reason why I haven't done one of these for a while is because I was selling someone's company, and actually it's gone through, there's been press about it, and actually it's been really kind of fantastic. But I just wanted to explain if you thought I'd gone missing for a little while as well. Okay. So my first topic today pen's not good. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is that we signed up to something called the DOHE Startup Accelerator. We've been on the program for about a month now, and what the guys are looking to do is basically support startups from an ed tech background that all have a social good or social aim to what they're looking to do. I first met the guys at a show called BETT, or BETT, which was down at the Excel in London. I think it was March. And, I run this on my own. I'm kind of a one-man band at the moment. I have people that help, but pretty much it's just me. But one of the things that I was very conscious of is that I'm very good at business stuff. I kind of have a feel for what we do and what the problems are that our customers face. But I don't necessarily know a huge amount about fundraising, startups, learning and development. And as a whole, the way I kind of described it is that it's like what you have when you have a startup. You have a jigsaw puzzle piece. And what you can't see around the outside of you is the rest of the jigsaw. And one of the big things when you're trying to find something called product market fit, and that's when the piece that you have fits perfectly somewhere in the wider market, in the wider network, that you deliver a product or a service which actually really kind of fits exactly what people need. Excuse me, my voice is a bit croaky. I haven't done one of these for a while. You forget how different they are when you actually kind of present live. It's funny because it's all about practice, I guess, but anyway. So one of the things that I was very conscious of when we signed up to DOHE is that it's a South Korean entity. The money comes from people in the Indonesia, kind of South Korean region, who are philanthropists, want to help build a better world. And it's been really interesting because a month or so in, I just wanted to share a bit about our journey. So there was an application process. There was quite a lot of applicants, and they selected 10 startups are based around the world. We've got some in Africa, a lot in Europe, one in Poland. And what they're looking to do is basically help incubate and provide support to help each of these entities go on and hopefully be really successful. I think what I might do is start to interview people on the podcast from the other entities, which I think could be quite cool to kind of start to share their stories. But again, we're all at different stages and different points where some of us have raised funding, some haven't, some have a product, some don't, some have an app. Some are like already selling stuff, some are super early stage. But I think what's really interesting from an accelerator point of view is that the guys went through a diagnostic phase. So I had 4 or 5 different calls with experts from different areas. Those covered finance was one. We had tech, so your kind of tech stack and background. What else did we have? Education and learning. We had another one which was to strategy. And essentially we haven't yet gone on to the point, or I personally haven't gone on to the point yet, where there's going to be feedback on what we've done and how they see the roadmap to help us kind of move forward. But I just wanted to kind of share the feedback of actually, for me, it's actually really useful, and part of the benefit of different startup accelerators. It's the more you articulate and talk about what you do, and you get challenged and ask questions about who is your target market, where do you fit, and people's different ideas and stuff. Actually, it is super valuable to actually really help you figure out how to move forward. I'm one of these people, and I am quite stubborn, where actually in many ways you often do think, I kind of know what I'm doing, I'll just run away and do it. is actually it's really useful to kind of sometimes have other people to bounce off. And I haven't started to work with my coach or mentor yet, that starts soon, but it was just something that I've actually found a lot of value in. And then also we have a group call. So basically with the other 9 companies on the kind of cohort, we've had 2 so far. And one of the things that's quite interesting is that when you run a company, and this will be true of companies of all sizes, but especially at the smaller end, it can be really tough that, it's how do you get motivated? You have setbacks, you have all these things that kind of happen that actually it can really kind of be demoralizing. So sometimes it's really good to hear other people's problems and actually also voice yours, because just having that little bit of support and pat on the back or direction or ideas or change is actually super useful. That I was a little bit skeptical at first going into 1 or 2 of the early kind of calls, but actually I now kind of get it, which is quite cool as well. So it's a 6-month program. We've done the first kind of month now. I'm not sure what comes next. It's working with your mentor and almost, I guess, the next 6 months of how we take the organization and the business forward. I think I actually have quite a good feel for how we're going to do that, but I'm really interested to see what the feedback is and how we kind of do it. But I just wanted to kind of share some of my feelings and almost experience after the first month of being on the Startup Accelerator, which is 6 months. I will keep you updated on how we kind of do and that kind of thing. But I'd love to know have you ever been through a Startup Accelerator? How did you find it? What was good? What was bad? What would you change, if anything? And actually, I'd love to know people's kind of experience as well. So if you catch this on YouTube or any of the other platforms, please drop me a message. I'll always kind of reply, and I'd love to know how you're kind of getting on as well. Okay. So an interesting topic that I wanted to talk about today. I mentioned before how I help run other people's companies. I'm a management consultant, so people hire me to do that. But also I'm 40 now, so I've been in the proper career world for 20 plus years now. And I just wanted to share some of my own personal experience on a hot topic that a lot of people have. In theory, a lot of people go through it. And essentially it's, when do you switch jobs? Because the funny thing about careers, also kind of true about business, there isn't necessarily a set rule book on what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how it works, what you experience. But then also, because your own personal lived experience will be different in different employers, it's really hard to kind of share best practice about what you should or shouldn't do. So I thought it could actually be an interesting topic to talk about as someone that's worked in lots of different companies, but also ran different companies, that actually from both sides, both if you're the boss and one of your team says that they want to leave, but also if you are in your career and you're looking for a change or you're not quite happy, it was something that I just wanted to kind of talk about. I thought it might have been quite interesting. So the reason why most people leave jobs or consider leaving jobs is because they're unhappy. For me, in careers, this comes in 3 main forms. There will be others, but it was just, I wanted to pick 3, and luckily they're all P's. So one is progression. So when you start your career, not everyone, but certainly for me, I wanted to progress, I wanted to grow, I wanted to learn, wanted to develop and almost progress as quick as I could to get to the top jobs and almost get career ambition. If you don't get career progression, it can easily become a source of frustration. If you think people don't care about you, that they don't care about your career progression, and there's just no ladder, there's nothing you can see for the future that makes you think, am I trapped? And you start to look around for that next move, that next step up. That's mega common. As an employer, one of the things that I think is really important is just spend a bit of time actually doing one-to-ones, actually get to know your team and hopefully build a relationship with them, where the more you understand about their aims, goals and ambitions, the people's ambition will not change whether you do or don't ask about it. I've certainly, seen it in the past where actually if people kind of ignore or they don't acknowledge your ambition, the ambition doesn't die. It just means that they're more likely to leave without ever voicing the issue. Is actually if you are the employer and you can show someone the ladder that they can climb and what they need to do to get to each different step and just involve them in the process, you can actually help tackle people's uncertainty about progression. Therefore, you keep them hopefully more engaged in the organization. And what we're kind of talking about here is that maybe half an hour once a month, just have a chat with your team can go a long way. That actually, when I've recruited people in the past, that takes months and months of time and interviews and people let you down and all this kind of different stuff. And the funny thing is that it's so much more efficient use of your time to actually just speak to your team, see if they're happy, see if there's anything you can do to help, and actually allay people's fears about different stuff. And that's actually cheaper and better than ignoring the problem. People leave and then you have to backfill. So progression is a big one. Pay is next. So if you're in your career, pay is obviously really important. We all have costs. A lot of us have kids and overheads and things that we need to pay for. And then also you have that, but you also have where you perceive your market value and worth in the market. So you might see, and especially with inflation, we've seen a dramatic price rise or a price war in salaries in the past kind of 2-3 years. And there's always a tricky balance between, you might think that if you switch from company A to company B, you can get a pay rise, or vice versa. And so people jump all the time. But actually there's a flip side to it, is that as the employer, a lot of employers, and I'm from an engineering manufacturing background, you can only afford so much. There will be industries like tech that can maybe afford massive salaries, but my background in manufacturing and engineering, not every company makes a profit. So you're often caught in a really difficult position where you want to give pay rises and progression and stuff, but it's really difficult because then you're putting the whole organization at risk if you do. And I think what's really interesting is that a lot of people have the discussion about the topic. You either want to earn or learn. So if you're learning a new role, you're looking to progress, you're learning your craft, you're learning an industry, it's kind of okay to get paid a bit less because you're still progressing. Or if you've kind of plateaued, you're not developing in your career, maybe you don't want to, but you kind of, I don't want to use the word trapped, but in that instance, it's okay to kind of just chase the money, because actually, why not? If you're happy at that level and you're not looking to keep learning new skills, that kind of works. The dream role is where you learn and earn. So you have the ability to learn new skills, learn that progression, learn the ropes to climb the ladder, and you get paid at the same time. But it was just something that I wanted to kind of explain. From a management point of view, going back to the one-to-ones, people, again, will still want the pay rise. Of course they will. But at least if you can explain how and why, where the company's at, what you're looking to do, how you're looking to help the team, and actually just that transparency on the business, hopefully at least they're more understanding of the challenges around pay, that it's a hard one to fix. I'm sure if the company can see your value and they know that you're unhappy or that they want to reward good performance, they absolutely will. But it's a really tricky one that I wanted to share both sides, that in some instance, people will want to actually give the pay rise and help, support you more. They might just not be able to. And that's almost where the communication really kind of comes in. And then last but not least is the third P. So we've had progression, we've had pay, and the last one is politics. So politics is all to do when someone doesn't like you, maybe you feel treated badly, there's disruption in the office, maybe there's rumors of they're shutting your factory, etc. All of those things are completely valid. As a manager, it's really important to get a hold and address any kind of political issues. And actually, it's so much better that the leadership of a business talks about an issue to say, look, we know there's rumors about this, but don't worry about it, we're doing this or whichever. But the idea is, if there is politics can be like poison to an organization, where essentially you want to have control of it as the leadership, control the message, but actually have a plan about what you do next. But the truth is, if you feel that your manager doesn't respect you, that you don't get any potential, or they don't like you, or whichever, in my mind, you're absolutely 100% within your right to look for somewhere else that does respect your time, respects your skill set. It might be close to home, etc. The one thing and the one caveat that I would throw into this is that people always think that the grass is greener. I've worked in probably 10 plus different companies now, and you always think where I am is terrible, but everywhere else looks great. So if I switch to company X, oh, I'll get paid more and there'll be no politics and all this stuff. And the truth is there will. There is in almost every kind of company. And it's that relationship where if something is just awful, and I've been in jobs in the past where I hated it and I just wanted to leave, and that was the right thing to do. But the point is, don't immediately jump, because again, when I interview people on some people's CVs, they switch jobs every 6 months. And that, essentially you can probably get away with it twice. But if you see a common trend where people leave jobs after 6 to 8 months, it raises a red flag as the employer, because you think that they're just going to do the same to you. And essentially, if you're recruiting for roles, you want stability. You want someone to join the team and stay for a fairly long time. And actually, you can, if you hop too much, it's seen as a negative. And then flip side as well, with inflation of cost of living, there will also be companies, I think UPS is a famous one. So salaries for UPS in America have gone through the roof, and it was part of a union kind of decision. But there is also a level of where if people just recruit on this price war to get talent, they could also find themselves in a point where they can't afford to pay their bills and the whole business actually goes under. That actually then the job you move to that you got a slight pay rise for, if that whole company goes bust, you can also get punished as well, because then you don't have a job when you're looking again. And it was that element of where, for me personally, stability, does have value as well. And it was just something that I wanted to talk about, because I know a lot of people at the moment are actually considering, should I switch jobs? And what can I get that's out there and what will help you do what's good for you? And for me, it's to look for, what's the job? Would it be interesting? And actually, is that something you want to do? And is that better than what you're currently doing? I would actually say, who are the leadership? Who will you be working for? Who are you working with? And are they good, nice people that kind of you can trust? Because actually, in every organization, you will have good times, bad times. Things will go up and down. And actually, if you're working with good people that you like and trust, for me, you'll probably enjoy working there a lot more. Even if maybe you get paid less, it's always better to work around good people that you enjoy kind of being with as well. So my name's Steve. If you catch this on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, if you drop us a comment, I'd love to kind of say hello as well. If you also check out Roadmap MBA, we're a startup bringing business education and making business education and training accessible to 5 billion people. If you check out roadmapmba.com, you can get a free copy as well. Okay. Oh, how's everyone's Friday? How's everyone's week been? Actually, even how's your month been? It's been so busy. I'd love to know. We have a bank holiday here in the UK, so hopefully a few days off. But hopefully everyone's good and happy and got good kind of plans and stuff as well. Okay. So the next topic that I wanted to talk about today is dealing with setbacks. I play basketball. You might notice some of the pictures on the wall. I'm a big fan of LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and actually there's a new lady called Sabrina Ionescu that plays for New York Liberty. I've got a new signed picture of her as well. But actually, in my spare time, when I'm not working, I play basketball. And actually, I turned 40, so I got to play in the Veterans League here in the northeast of England over the summer. And off the back of that, I've applied and I've actually got a trial 3rd of September for something called the FIMBA GB over 40s basketball team. And the idea to be able to represent your country in a sport that you love in your age category is mega attractive to me. And I was really excited. I'd finished top scorer in the league for the Vets League. And I was really starting to gear up for this trial, which was in a month's time. It's now in 2 weeks. And then when it was kind of all set up and I had the hotel booked and everything done, it was 2 weeks ago on Monday, I turned my ankle. And in basketball, you can get injured almost at any point, but especially as you get older, it does take you a bit longer to heal. And part of the reason for not doing these for the last few weeks is that I literally couldn't walk or stand up because my ankle was this big. Luckily now, as you can see, I can kind of walk on it, I can run on it, but it's still not perfect, and I've got 2 weeks to kind of rehab it. But the reason why I wanted to talk about setbacks is that for me, I love basketball, and the idea to represent GB through the FIMBA program is a massive plus. And I was really excited, and I was getting my hopes up, and I was getting ready to train, and then bang, I was literally on my back, on the floor, in agony, thinking, have I just blown this opportunity? Because you don't get the chance all the time. So one of the things I've purposely done over the last few weeks is that I've been properly rehabbing my ankle, ice, rest, ice, compression, elevation, everything you can imagine to get ready and get back fit again. But the whole point is, in business and careers and life in general, we all actually experience setbacks in different shapes or forms. We all get our hopes up to go for jobs that we don't get. If you run a small business, you pitch a client that we don't win. In sports, you can win or lose or get relegated and not get picked for your team. And the funny thing is, a lot of it is to do with the mindset about how you approach setbacks and challenges is actually what you then do next. And it's a really funny one that likewise, I still have the mental dilemma is that I might go down to London on the 3rd of September, try out, and they might say, look, Steve, you're just not good enough. And then I must admit, it's that balance for me of where do I give up? Do I get fitter? Do I train more? Do I kind of keep working towards that goal, which I would love to achieve? Or do I think, you know what, sod that, I'm just going to give up, I'm going to sit on the couch and give up chasing something that I want to do? The truth is, in business with startups, it's equally the same. So I've been running Roadmap MBA for 2.5 years now, and it is really tough that likewise you can get up and do all the right things and host your live streams, and if nobody engages, it can be difficult to keep going, or you approach a charity that you would love to work with and they ignore you. And essentially what we're talking about and the way to deal with setbacks is almost just to really understand your passions. What is it that you love to do? And the truth is, I love actually the creation of trying to do all of this, and I love the challenge that comes with social impact and trying to help people and actually just, achieve kind of career fulfillment. Likewise for basketball, I love playing, and I would love to represent my country doing something. But I think if I do get rejected, I will still keep working for it, and I might try for a different age group in the future or whichever. But it was almost the acknowledgement that it's okay to fail, as long as you know, it's one of my big things, if you know you did everything you could and it just didn't work out, you can almost move on proud of your attempt, and actually just, you can either then choose to try again or pivot or change. But the truth is, it's about the mindset, not so much the outcome. It could be that the reason why you didn't get that job or didn't get that client has absolutely nothing to do with you. It might be the person that you pitched or that business, they themselves are in financial trouble, so they can't hire you for the thing. There's lots of different reasons why actually we always often worry that we are the reason why we didn't get the job, the promotion, the sports team, whichever. But actually don't give up. If you really love doing what you do, kind of just keep going. Even this week with the business, there's been times when you second guess yourself, you worry, is it worth the effort, is it not? But actually, if you surround yourself with good people who are equally as passionate as you are, actually it can do incredible things to really help you achieve great stuff. If you would have asked me 3 years ago, there's no way that I would have thought that we would have had all of this, that Roadmap MBA would have users in 56 countries, or that I would have the potential to trial for the GB team in a few weeks' time. So actually, I think part of that is just it's the resilience to keep going, even when nobody watches or nobody tunes in, just to kind of keep trying. And then likewise, if this ever does fail, or I give up, or I break my leg and my sports career is over, as long as I know that I tried my best, I would kind of take that as well. So my name's Steve Pugh. If you check this out on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, please check out roadmapmba.com. Our mission is to make business education accessible to 5 billion people, and you can also learn completely for free as well. Just check out all the stuff on the website as well. Okay. What time are we on? So we are on 9:16. Okay, so I've done those. Okay. So this is hopefully an interesting topic that I'm going to say all startups, because when you normally would describe a business, businesses are normally more established in an established field where they kind of know where they fit and they just operate as a business and they do their stuff and they sell their stuff. Startups often are doing something new in a new field, trying to do something challenging. They're going back to my analogy before. Often with a startup, you don't always know if you're making the right thing, doing the right thing, or if anyone wants to buy it or if it fits into the marketplace. You actually just don't know. With the Roadmap MBA, it's been really funny that basically we have brilliant testimonials. The people that we work with and actually have been through the course, I think we're on 73 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. We've got 1 4-star and 1 2-star. But actually we know that our stuff is good, but for whatever reason, we're not quite hitting the market where in startup world, you have something called product market fit. So product market fit is when you have a product which is so good that people tell other people about it. People just understand what it is and it flies off the shelf and people get in touch. And almost your sales machine just grows by itself exponentially and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Product market fit is the dream that every startup, that every business wants. That it's very difficult to find because actually in the world, there is often a solution to the problem that you face. So with business education and training, you have a lot of exceptionally good offers out there. Some are really expensive. Some are very accessible, but not very good. Like say if you take YouTube, you can access that for free, but there's no real clarity around what's the background of the person, is the content being vetted. They often just cover one topic and others, and most people and most businesses have a barrier. And one of our biggest competition for what we do on personal development and learning is actually to do nothing. And as silly as that sounds, from a business strategy point of view, it's 100% true that one of our biggest competition or competitors is for businesses to just not train their team, or for people that want to get that promotion or make their small business grow. It's easier for them to just do nothing than it is to actually invest a bit of time and money to learn the stuff that they need to know. But the point is, it's really important to really understand where you sit for your business, your jigsaw puzzle piece. Is the product could be brilliant, but your messaging might not quite land, or the people that you're looking to target. It's called segmentation. So it's when you kind of realize, okay, so we are targeting people aged 18 to 35 that might have a high school diploma or above, and you really want to hone down exactly who it is that you're targeting. Or do you target business owners and businesses themselves to then disseminate that as training to their team? That's a very key distinction, because actually you advertise and you would market those in very different ways, even if the product is exactly the same. And it's a really important thing that every startup and every business needs to get right, because actually what we're trying to do is get as efficient as possible so that word of mouth does spread and people say, look, that thing is really, really good. And you're trying to then find product market fit. So the acid test is, are your sales exponentially flying out the door that you might have one day, 2 the next, 3 the next, etc., so that you can see that it's organically growing up, and that's the goal of where you're at. If you're not at that point, and not many people do, because that's like the unicorn phase of when it'll just exponentially go bonkers, essentially what you want to do is speak to customers. So it's that element of where you've probably got a product, you can try it with people and you can show them it. But what you really want to then do is listen and get feedback to actually say, look, what did you think? Are we selling it in the right way? Are we describing it in the right way? If this didn't exist, what would you do? What are the alternatives? How do you compare the alternatives? And then likewise, what you're looking to do is grow, learn, iterate your offering, the way you sell yourselves. It could be to do with your SEO, so that when you feel and you have more confidence in what your offer is, you can then put more cash behind it to accelerate it forward. That it's about having confidence in what you're doing. And essentially that's what a pivot is to learn more about the environment, learn more about the customer, and maybe tweak the way that you promote the business or change the business or whichever. One of the ways that we're actually looking to do this at the moment is that I advertise in something called Northeast Times, which is a business publication here in the northeast of England. And in the first 2 editions, it comes out every quarter. We had what you class as a traditional advert. So it's to do with, are you looking to train your team? If so, consider this. It was a very much a sales message. Our new advert, which is going to go in the next edition, it's a complete pivot. So what we're looking to do is say to them, as a business, would you like some free training to help support your team? We will give you up to 50 free Roadmap MBA places and packs. What the deal is, you get access to free training for your team, but actually in return, can you give us some feedback, please? And we can really kind of find out where we sit. For me as a business owner, the feedback is more valuable. That yes, whilst I could just sell a small number of courses myself to a small number of people, essentially with startups, you're aiming for the moonshot. You want this billion-dollar unicorn that really flies out the door. And it's the difference between a small or micro business that wants to just make a profit and just exist for 20 years. Or do you want to keep learning, keep iterating and really trying to hit that moonshot? That for me, that's the goal. I don't want this to be a lifestyle business where I come on and do live streams and do a bit of YouTube and do consultancy. I almost want to test the business practice and the best practice to really understand what the market is and then kind of work with that moving forward. And basically, if you ever want to explore a pivot in your business, it's about investigating the market, speaking to people, getting consumer research, and then just innovate and tweak and change a few different things to see what works. And then the idea is you try and find your product market fit. How do you find the point at which your product or service, people tell other people about it, they rave about it, they become advocates for your business, and essentially your sales and your users just starts to grow off the charts. We're not there yet. I will continue to talk about our journey and what we're looking to do and how we're looking to do it. But I thought this might be interesting for people if you kind of tune in. So once again, my name is Steve Pugh. I have a startup called Roadmap MBA. Our mission is to make business education and training accessible to 5 billion people worldwide. And if you check us out on roadmapmba.com or just search at Roadmap MBA, you can also learn completely for free as well. Cool. So last but not least on today's kind of live stream, I want to talk about business ethics. So this is really important because when I mentioned before about my background, I'm in engineering and manufacturing. I help run companies in that industry. But you hear, the more you kind of operate and last in the industry, you hear the good stuff and you hear the bad stuff. And one of the funny things about careers in general, it's about your reputation. So what you hope is that people say, you know what, that Steve guy, he's a bit annoying with his live streams, but actually he's very good at what he does. But the idea is, it's how do you control what people say and think about you? Probably what would they say or think about you behind your back? But so much of that is built on how you act, how you perform, how you treat other people, which again comes back to business ethics. I see this all the time. We have competitors that are pretty shady. I've heard stories of people that have done stuff which is definitely not ethical, where they look to actively sabotage other people. their products, their services, their reputations, whichever. But the point is, people that choose to do business that way, and we will all know people that are maybe not as white and squeaky clean as they might make out. That's a very short-term mentality that essentially most people could cheat on a deal. They could screw someone out of something, not deliver what they say they will. But that in essence will be a short-lived win. So they might make a tiny bit of money once, but the issue is they're going to tell their friends, stay away from that guy, do not trust him, he's a nightmare, don't do business with him. And the point is, if you don't respect business ethics on how to do things, and this could be to do with poaching staff, how you treat staff, stealing people's IP and copying products, and there's loads of different stuff around that, or even just threatening people and doing some really kind of nasty stuff, and trust me, this stuff does happen. All of that is based on a quick win that you might think that you can get away with once, and you actually, some people do trade like that. But the truth is, if you want a good long-term career, the way that you act with honesty and integrity, and also being technically good at your job and working hard, that will hopefully last you for the next 40 years as you kind of grow, go on. That likewise, it might be that you work at a place and your network that you've built that hopefully know and like you, they might actually really know and like you, but in that role, they just didn't need to buy what you were selling at the time. But should you move, your reputation is arguably the one thing that you keep. As businesses can come and go and fail or succeed or whichever, the core person that sits at the part of that is the most important bit of it. And actually, it's just something that I wanted to kind of talk about, that if you're a bad actor and you do stuff which is morally questionable, you probably won't watch this anyway, but you probably don't care. You think, sod it, I want to make some money. I can get a cheap win through maybe giving people subpar products and charging them a lot of money for it. But the issue is, the longer you last in business, those people will die off, because people will find other suppliers, they will find other people. But then actually, when it comes down to recommendations and networking and support, people who act honestly and they act with integrity and they manage people well, that kind of thing, your reputation sticks. It's something that you can't afford to ruin. And it was just something that I wanted to mention, that just this week I've seen people do some pretty shady stuff. And it was just the kind of thing that I wanted to talk about, that the one thing that you have, no matter what happens for the rest of your entire life, is your reputation. That actually, if you can, stay away from the quick wins if it means, acting in a different way, that essentially you always want to act as if someone was watching. If your customers, your parents, your whoever saw how you acted and how you treated people and how you done stuff, would you always do the same thing? Because, we've all done it where you've tried to cut a corner once or twice, but that's not the best way to operate in business. And actually, the more you kind of stick to solid, honorable business ethics and dealings and how you treat people, etc., it will actually help you in the long run. So at 9:29, I'm going to call it quits today. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful bank holiday if you're based here in the UK. If you do, check out roadmapmba.com. We're here to help support different communities around the world with your business education, learning and training that also you can learn completely for free. For our paid users, we have live classroom sessions and ongoing support and mentoring, which you can join multiple times a week. All of the details are on the website, which you can kind of check out as well. And we also put a lot of effort into our sustainability as well. So we do a carbon offset program and also a buy one gift one as well. So if you choose to work on your own personal development and learning, you can also gift a course to someone else as well that you choose and that as a way, as like a thank you to pay it forward as well. So at 9:29, I'm going to call it quits. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, and I'll catch you soon. All right, cheers guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.